the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world.
President Trump, along with Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu, have begun a massive combat campaign on Iran. Of course, Iran is also retaliating. The entire Middle East is in a crisis now. So, what are the reasons, according to Trump, that made US and Israel to wage a war on Iran? So, are these reasons really justified? So, let me tell you the reason, number one. So, what does the Trump says? I have given an option for military leadership, the Islamic leadership of Iran. So, I'm giving an option to IRGC and the Islamic clergy. You either surrender, arrive at a deal with the US, or face the death. So, therefore, the Trump's first argument is that, so despite a clear indication, clear invitation for the Iranian regime to strike a deal with the US, they chose a war. So, I am not unilaterally declaring war because of the Iran's position, Iran's rigid position, adamant position. I am compelled to declare a war. This is the first narrative Trump is.
To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms, you will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death.
Trying to clip a show. But let me tell you the history. In 2015, Obama-led United States administration had a deal with Iran. It is popularly called the Iran nuclear deal. And Iran's entire nuclear program was subjected to International Atomic Energy Agency scrutiny. So there's no way Iran could go for weaponization. But what really happened? It was Donald Trump during his first term walked out of the Iranian deal. Then even the last time when US and Israel attacked Iran, when US bunker buster bombers ravaged the Fordo and other nuclear sites, that was a time when Iran and US were engaged in negotiations. Right amidst the negotiations, Israel declared war and simply derailed the negotiations and dragged the United States into confrontation. Even now, Oman Foreign Minister of Oman. Oman is a country which is mediating between US and Iran. Foreign Minister of Oman has clearly stated that the deal was around. He has even said within 24 hours there will be a deal. So, but even before a couple of hours, Israel started a war and United States joined it. So, why did Israel and US declare war when there is a clear and visible signs of possible deal? So, what was the objective? The objective was not to strike a deal, but to derail the deal. So, today if Trump blames that Iran is not ready to have a deal, it is absolutely farcical. In fact, the Foreign Minister of Oman, who mediated between US and Iran, has said Iran has agreed to all the conditions of the United States. But still they went to war. This is what happened even in Venezuela. Nicolas Maduro was ready to offer American companies an opportunity in the Venezuelan oil sector. He was retreating. but still US chose to attack and kidnap Maduro rather than have a deal with Maduro. So that shows that Trump wants to bully either Venezuela or Iran rather than sincerely trying for the deal. The second argument of Trump is Iran is the biggest sponsor of terrorism. Therefore, to eliminate the terror threat emanating from Iran to United States, to the US allies and the US bases in this region, I had to go for the war. This is precisely what the Trump said. You can listen to what the Trump has said.
Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias.
So, but is this true? I'm not getting into details whether Iran is a terrorist state or not. That can be a subjective opinion. But the fact remains, if Iran is a threat of terror threat to the world, terror threat to the region, and Trump wants to eliminate that threat, why is Trump not serious in eliminating other terrorist threats in the world? On one hand, he is telling that Iran is the #1 sponsor of terror. On the other hand, he is telling Asim Munir and Sabah Sharif, who preside over number of terrorist organizations, near the number of terrorist organizations like Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, is calling them terrific guys, great people. If Pakistan is not a terrorist state, which is the terrorist state? Pakistani regime has provided shelter to Osama bin Laden for 5 long years, that too near the Pakistan's military academy. So when Osama bin Laden is the biggest terror threat to United States, he is one who masterminded the attack on the World Trade Center. Yet America doesn't call a Pakistan a biggest sponsor of terror, and Trump hails the Pakistani regime. Is this not duplicity of highest order? So why is this not the dubious stand of Donald Trump, the President of the United States? So if you really want to eliminate the threat of terror, why do you differentiate between a terror that favors America and terror that harms America? So that's the reason when he arrived at a deal with the Taliban, Trump coined the phrase good Taliban and bad Taliban. Can there be good terrorist and a bad terrorist? Terrorists are terrorists. If Iranian regime is a terror regime, then Pakistan is a much bigger terror regime. Taliban is a much bigger terrorist organization. So, but unfortunately, America considers those who subserve their interest are as good terrorists and only goes after those who do not defy their orders and by calling them terrorists. The third aspect is, well, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei led Islamic regime is the most brutal regime. It has killed thousands of protesters. The United States puts the figure at 30,000, which Iran denies. It is a barbaric and highly repressive regime. So therefore, the people of Iran are waiting to throw it away, and America is only facilitating. So why should anybody protect a regime which is so despotic, so fundamentalist? We have seen how the Khamenei-led religious leadership came down so heavily on the protesters. So therefore, this regime deserves to be hunted and killed. This is the third defense. Well, I'm not even by a stretch of imagination defending Islamic regime of Iran. This Islamic regime of Iran is most authoritarian. It deserves to be thrown away. It deserves to be punished. I have no sympathy for this regime. But the point is, who has to do it? So it's the people of Iran. If really Trump is interested to throw away fundamentalist, despotic Islamic regimes, why is he not doing with Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia? who is the greatest friend of Donald Trump, why is he not doing with the Islamic kings, regimes in UAE, Jordan, Qatar, are these sheikhs, democratically elected leaders? The kind of awoke Yunus created in Bangladesh. Was it not United States and Pakistan behind the rebellion against Sheikh Hasina that brought Yunus regime to power for 18 months in Bangladesh? Muhammad Yunus was in collusion with Islamic radicals like Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh, which actually co-conspirated in the Pakistan's brutal crackdown on the Bangla liberation movement in 1971, in the run-up to 1971. So therefore, if Islamic rulers are threat to the world and US, why should there be a differentiation between one Islamic regime and the other Islamic regime? It is the same Trump administration which arrived at a deal with Taliban. Is Taliban not barbaric? More recently, Taliban legalized domestic violence also. Can there be any despotic regime than that? Women are completely denied the basic rights in Afghanistan. Still, Taliban was called a good Taliban by President Trump. So why is he not attacking Taliban? Why is he not attacking similar fundamentalist despotic regimes in the Middle East? America doesn't do. In fact, America allows these religious leadership, these Islamic rulers, simply because if any democratically elected government, that government doesn't hand over its natural resources to the United States like Pakistan did. Well, any self-respecting nation will never do that. So United States want subservient regimes, however brutal they may be, however fundamentalist they may be, and however despotic they may be. That is the history of United States across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. All the despots, all the kings, 99% are friends of the United States. Is this not true? So why this hypocrisy? Then comes the question. Well, then the next allegation is Iran's nuclear program.
It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces.
Not just the nuclear program, US and Israel wanted Iran to dismantle their missile capability also. If Iran gives up its nuclear program and destroys its missile capability, then what is left in Iran? So how can any sovereign nation accept the condition that it has to give up the entire war machinery? But still Trump imposed that condition and Iran obviously did not meet it. So Trump says Iran wants to acquire nuclear weapons, which is a very big threat to the world. I do agree, nuclear weapons are certainly a threat to the world, whether they are in the hands of Iran or whether they are in the hands of any other country. The same United States helped Israel to acquire nuclear weapons sometime in 1967. So that is legitimate according to America. Well, I can understand, well, Israel is not like a fundamentalist despotic regime like Iran. So let us assume for the sake of argument that nuclear weapons in the hands of Israel are safe. Then what about the nuclear Pakistan? Pakistan's army chief, Field Marshal, is the greatest friend of Donald Trump. He is a terrific guy as per the Trump. He is a great man as per the Trump. What did he say in Florida in the United States? That too after meeting Donald Trump in the White House, after enjoying the unprecedented privilege by the American president. So, but the Asim Munir says openly, Pakistan is a nuclear country. If anybody wants to put it down, we will put down the wall, 50% the wall, before we lay down. This is what Asim Munir said. So Asim Munir hurled a threat of using nuclear weapons to wipe out 50% of the mankind. Where did he do this? He has issued this stern, bizarre, preposterous warning right from the American soil. Trump did not respond to it. So even if nuclear weapons are a threat to the global peace and security, I am sure any sensible guy will accept that nuclear weapons in the hands of Pakistan is the most dangerous situation. And why does America fail to realize this problem? So this shows all the reasons which are cited to attack Iran are essentially aimed at furthering a political narrative at home and abroad. So they reflect the kind of hypocrisy and double standards of United States foreign policy.